Ladies, young ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everyone, good evening to all. Once again, you are welcome here on the Evel de Consciences platform. This is the top story in international news. Russia has struck a sensitive nerve in the West. Yes, on this Wednesday, June 4, 2024, early in the morning, Russia carried out a surgical strike with unprecedented precision on a training center. Maranatha, just imagine what happened next to a military training center where there were NATO officers as well as Ukrainian unit commanders and Ukrainian soldiers. Yes, guess what happened next? Russia is no longer resting. Russia is no longer taking a break. No. It was in the locality of Poltava where this center was located and where Russia calculated, locked down the skies, and Russia struck. The toll is heavy, and as if all that weren't enough, you still have across the entire Ukrainian territory the aftermath of yesterday's air raid. Yesterday I told you Russia locked down the Ukrainian skies. Yesterday, June 3, 2025. The others carried out Operation Spiderweb. I think that was more like a web of drones and missiles. Yes, Iskander Oreshnik. They locked down the Ukrainian skies from all four cardinal points. So much so that Zelensky went out yesterday. He started denouncing, lamenting, accusing Russia, forgetting what he himself had done. And in all this calm down, Russia still hasn't responded yet. It still hasn't retaliated for the attacks of June, honest and torn. Putin confirmed to Donald Trump that he will retaliate. So this is not the retaliation. Some NATO officers have gone to their eternal rest. Yes, and in several regions. Across the entire Ukrainian territory, the toll is heavy. Ladies and gentlemen, in this video conference, that's what we're going to talk about. But before we continue, as usual, please share this video conference as much as possible. Share it as much as you can. Share it. And above all, make sure to give plenty of likes along with your comments. These interactions give strength to the page and give me the motivation to keep providing you with very good information. Well analyzed, without emotion. According to the official information given by the Ukrainian General Staff, it is the Ukrainian General Staff making the announcement. On June 4th, Russian forces carried out a surgical missile strike on a training unit in the Poltava region. Yes, an unprecedented strike on a training unit. So, according to the General Staff, thanks to preventive and well-coordinated security protocols, including the dispersal of personnel, the use of shelters, and strict adherence to air raid alert procedures, mass casualties were successfully avoided. Several soldiers were injured and are receiving medical care. A special commission has been created to investigate the incident and assess the damage. Here is the version from the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, which claims that mass casualties were avoided. However, the reality is quite the opposite. There were actually a great many casualties. Officers from the OTA, as we've told you, set up a military training center somewhere in Poltava. They thought it was a well-hidden spot. They sent many people there to be trained and then deployed to the front. And that's what Russia noticed. Iskander and Ali. Eternal rest. It hurts. We're talking about human being. It hurts a lot. That's why conflict is never a good thing. When? Not at all. So, according to the version given by Russian war correspondents who are on the ground, the Russian army launched this missile strike on the military training center in the Poltava region. The soldiers were on the training ground at the time of the strike, carrying out training missions. They were there, Maranatha. While the thing was coming down, you just hear Vigu, and then you see different colors. Yeah. And then you wonder whether that's the color of heaven or of hell. You're already gone. But they are downplaying the number of casualties. And Russia also isn't talking about it. They're not making a big deal out of it. It doesn't require a big announcement. Because it's the operation, it's the continuation of the special military operation. Russia is carrying on. Yesterday, there was an air raid, as we mentioned in the video conference. The Russian army reported heavy losses and advances for yesterday. So that's the 24-hour report. The general staff, even the Russian Ministry of Defense, says things are hitting up on the ground. It's the ministry itself that uses this expression. Russian forces report tactical gains and inflict heavy losses on Ukraine, according to statements from the ministry. The Western grouping, Redubuka, 220 soldiers have been sent to their eternal rest. There is a cannon, 2,000 Germans, that was destroyed. The Northern grouping, that is, these are units that I call groupings. Groupings, since I don't need maybe for new viewers. It's worth reminding that Russia has distributed military units across the entire Ukrainian territory. So the Northern grouping has sent 230 soldiers to their eternal rest in the area of Kondratovka in the Sumy region. Yes, 2 tanks were destroyed, 3 armored vehicles, and 5 pieces of artillery. The Southern grouping has sent 250 Ukrainian soldiers to their eternal rest. The Central grouping has sent 520 soldiers to their eternal rest. Maranatha, the number is just too high. Long life peace. Long life peace. Yes. The Eastern grouping has sent 180 Ukrainian soldiers to their eternal rest. There were many other things that were destroyed. The NEP grouping has sent 75 soldiers and 2 cannons to their eternal rest. Russian air defense destroyed 3 HIMARS rockets and 109 drones. The numbers are colossal. Russia is advancing, as I like to say, smoothly, without too much communication. And that's what hurts NATO and Zelensky very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation is becoming complicated. And from the moment Russia already considers the leaders in Kiev to be Théo chiefs, that's serious. That was the top story in international news. I will be back with you shortly, by the grace of the Almighty, with more news. This was the voice of your one and only Samouraï.